Cashamaniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Welcome back to the Geo Gearheads episode 437, where tonight we get to talk about the pandemic effect. You know, that's something that I think just about everyone who wants to talk about, Chris.
I think I've seen that horror movie.
Yeah, it's one of those things. How many people do you know who have gone and watched, like the 28 Days Later? I think, wait, which one is that? No, that's the wrong one. I can't remember which one's which anymore.
I know a lot of people that are watching zombie movies.
Exactly. They're watching all those zombie pandemic movies,
Contagion.
Oh yeah, that was a favorite one. It's like, these are the movies you want to watch when you're under lockdown.
Exactly. Thank you, Netflix.
Yes. And thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Daryl W4, back as usual with Chris of the Northwest, but you're not the only Chris on the show tonight.
What?
We have another Chris. Welcome back to the show, Rock Chalk.
Thank you. Glad to be back talking with you guys again.
It's
I have
excellent
to say,
to have you
you're
back.
my favorite Chris.
So that makes you Chris number one. But we've also got Anna Boat back to join us and give us a little bit of a perspective on the mega events from the only mega event that comes to mind that hasn't postponed yet.
There's a couple, one of the few, but we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. So we're just going to talk tonight about some of the stuff that has changed and what effect it's had. And we've gotten quite a few submissions from our audience about how the pandemic has had an effect on them and their caching. But Anna Boat, you had a nice little summary of what you thought the effect has been. So you want to lead us off with that?
Yeah. So, when you asked me to come on the show, when we talked last week, I started thinking about kind of the effect that it had on me. And one of the biggest ways that it's affected me is as a mega event host. And I'm kind of understanding some of the pain that the other mega events are going through, right? It's had a really, really big effect on large geocaching events. As you said before, like most of the mega events around the world even have been postponed until the fall. A lot of them have been postponed until 2021 altogether. So I think one of the biggest reasons is the events have kind of been, they're in kind of a tough spot to really know what's going on. And in a lot of cases, we have to order swag, merchandise, prizes, things like that well in advance of the event to make sure we have them on hand in time. And I think without the hosts knowing that their event can actually happen safely, for sure, a lot of them are hesitant to make that kind of financial commitment to the swag and stuff like that to, be in that spot and then potentially not have the event happen and be out all that money. So, I know we got Chris here, so not to brown nose or anything, but I really think that HQ has been awesome so far, right? Like we keep getting alerts about all the response HQ's been doing. Every question that I've had from a mega event organizer perspective, they've almost bent over backwards to try to answer for me quickly and take care of us as best as possible. I know that my other colleagues have said that they've had no problem getting their events moved as necessary. And the biggest thing to me is I think that they've really been fair to those of us who want to kind of chart our own course, so to say, right? Like, and not necessarily cancel right off the bat. And they're kind of letting us be grownups and try to do the right thing as best we can and try to be safe if it's possible. And if it's not, then they're working with us to move it or postpone it. But I think that they've done a fantastic job trying to support us as best they can. So I've been thrilled with that. So Chris, thank you. You and all your colleagues.
Well, and I'm sure you've probably worked with Delaney on
Absolutely
on my team. Delaney is just tremendous, and she's been working with folks like yourself, but folks all over the world, and so kudos to her and Cindy Potter also, who works a lot on this stuff. But I'm kind of an innocent bystander in this case. I communicate a lot of this stuff, but Delaney is the one who's trading a lot of emails with folks like yourself and trying to do the right thing and trying to make the best decisions that we can, because as you all know, this is such an unprecedented thing that there is no manual for how to handle it. But I'm glad to hear that it's been working out from your standpoint.
Absolutely.
And GSM Times 2 says to do the right thing in a global game is a difficult thing to do. But more kudos for you there. Overall, I've been really impressed with the response that Geocaching HQ has had. Not just in, there's so much that's been going on with the Adventure Labs, the Virtual Rewards 2.0, the 2020 events and everything. And then they have this great page that kind of lists all of the things that have changed. I think that was actually in the help desk, but there's links to it all the time for HQ's response to COVID-19 is the actual title of the page.
Yeah, on that page, we do try to have everything listed there between, what's happening with megas, what's happening with the locationless cache, the 20th anniversary celebration. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that we realized that we were having blog posts and we were having Facebook updates and so forth, but it was some of that stuff might be getting lost. And so we wanted to put it all in one spot that would be easy to send people to. And my guess is this page will live on in some form, even after all this stuff is over, as a place for putting important, timely updates that you can just have in one spot.
Yeah, it's anything kind of out of the ordinary, because these are exceptions to the usual that we have to keep in mind. The mega and gig events we'll talk about more later. They've all been postponing. But regular events and CETOs have also been stopped in some way, shape, or form because of it. And in many cases, there's, I believe it's regional, correct? That you can't list new events in many regions?
It's very by region. It's not possible to give a blanket answer to a question like that, because I know there are still a couple of places here and there where there hasn't been as much of an impact, and where the local authorities are still permitting a certain amount of gathering. So, but certainly, largely, the vast majority of locations are not allowing events at this point.
Yeah, we've heard a number of the regions aren't allowing new caches to be published. Some are still. So everything is very regional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. And we're starting to, I think over in Europe, you're starting to see a little bit of a loosening of things. I know that there were quite a few caches published or started to be published over the weekend over there. So again, a very regional situation.
Yeah, well, we were just talking pre-show that my state, Michigan, is publishing in the Upper Peninsula and parts of the Lower Peninsula. So even in the state, it's not one rule for the whole state.
Right.
And we have a post in the chat that Nebraska is starting to allow events to be posted for June, which is also coincidentally when we're looking at going back to work in the Detroit area, but I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. They keep pushing those back. But also the big news is probably the geocaching 20th anniversary celebration has been pushed back to August of 2021.
That is correct. It will be taking place on August 21st of 2021. Same place at the Seattle Center where the Space Needle is located. And we hated to have to do that, but we felt like it was just the right thing to do with people coming from all over the world and folks having to change their airfare and their lodging and all that stuff. We hope things are better by August, but it was just too much of a chance to take, and we just felt like pushing it to next year would make it a lot more likely that we can host the event in a safe way and give people an opportunity to make the changes that they need to make to be able to attend next year.
Well, I'm so excited that it has not changed locations, because that sounded like a great event. And it was, not that I don't want to go for the geocaching, but to do a geocaching event there just really seemed impressive.
Yeah, we're very excited about having it at the Seattle Center. We have already, as you would imagine, we certainly had started doing logistical planning and figuring out where everything would be there. And it was really was shaping up to be a really great experience this fall. But now we've got a little more extra time to hopefully make it even better. It's for people that haven't been there, of course, around the world, the Space Needle is an iconic thing to see, but that's not the only cool thing about that area. There's some other really neat things to see at Seattle Center. So it's a great place to go and kind of branch out from there to see other cool stuff in the immediate Seattle area. So we're really looking forward to having this milestone event. Really, I mean, a celebration of 20 years of geocaching. Couldn't imagine a better place to have it.
Though, unfortunately, the 20 years of geocaching happens during the 21st year of geocaching.
That's
again.
right.
You can always celebrate 20 years.
I was going to say, it's just so
20.
big a celebration, it can't be contained in a single year.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, Rock Chalk, is HQ getting with any of the museums or organizations there? I'm thinking like the Science Center. I suddenly lost its name.
Oh, the Pacific Science Center.
Science Center. Thank you. Yeah. Or Mopop to do any package deals.
I don't think we've got anything ready to talk about yet, but certainly there are a number of possible partners in that area, as you know, Chris, and we're going to be having discussions with a lot of people and trying to make this, just not just a geocaching thing, but giving people an opportunity to experience a lot of what's available in that area of Seattle.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, and if you don't know, if you're lost anywhere in Seattle, just look for the Space Needle and drive towards that. You'll be able to find it.
That's right. It's impossible to miss if you're in Seattle.
But it's not the only thing that's been pushed to 2021 from that celebration, because we also have the Find Signal the Frog location list that's been extended now, so you can have all of next year to find them, so through December 31st, 2021. And the community celebration events have also been extended. Something I'm rather happy to see, because right about the time I was getting ready to list mine, we got the lockdown.
Yeah, both with the Signal location list cache and with the community celebration events. Those were such unique opportunities that it just would have been terrible to lose out on those. And to us, it was a no-brainer to extend that. And we're looking forward to those opportunities being available through the end of next year.
Well, and the Big Blue Switch Day, this one I kind of thought interesting. I got used to the 2021 thing, but Big Blue Switch Day is only extended through the end of this year, which I thought was actually a smart move too.
Yeah, I've heard from a few purists that feel like if they couldn't get it on that one day, then they don't really want to have it. I can understand that point of view, I guess. But the vast majority of the feedback that we've gotten has been that people are happy to be able to have that opportunity continue through the year. And, for so many folks that weren't going to feel right about going out on Blue Switch Day on the actual day this year, it just didn't feel right to us that people would miss out on that opportunity because of a pandemic. So we just felt like extending it was the right thing to do.
Well, and especially for the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
everyone needs to have that opportunity. And I did go out, even though I really probably shouldn't have, but I did make it part of an essential trip. It's like there's a cash over in this parking lot. I'm just gonna, pop over there, find that, and then go about getting to the grocery store.
There
So
you go.
it works out okay. No extra trips, right?
That's right. Yeah, I went out and found one. Again, I was already out and about doing essential work. So, I'm going to swing by and get one for the day.
Well, and I just had to get out and find a cache because it had been far too long.
Oh, yeah.
Too
Not
many.
anywhere near my longest slump, but it's starting to get close.
Yeah, it's my longest slump now. Which,
Rock Jock, what is your longest slump? I would assume it'd be, about 8 hours while you're sleeping.
As you guys were talking, it made me wonder. I'm going to have to look it up here while we're chatting. I feel like that's something that I should know off the top of my head, and I do not know. Of course, I know my longest streak, but let's see here. My longest slump is 33 days.
Okay.
In 2011, which was the year that I started. So that was only a couple months. I think I started in July of 2011. So it was a couple months after I started. I had a slump there.
Well, and so many people I've run into, it's within their first 12 months of caching that they have that longest slump. It's like, this is kind of cool. Okay. Oh yeah, weather's getting yucky. Then they come back to it and then they never stop. Just
I mean,
takes a while.
For me, it's kind of like, oh, I was still sane back then. And that's way past now. There's no going back.
Oh, Rock Jock, I'm laughing with you.
Yeah, it's like I'm thinking back to those days of, oh, I could just take 33 days off and not think about it. And what must that have been like? Yeah, no, I don't even. I can't imagine. It would be interesting to look back now and see what, like in the last 3 or 4 years, what my longest slump has been. I can't imagine it's been more than a week, because pretty much every weekend I'm going to go out and at least find one or two. So, and I'm good with that.
And I always find it humorous too that people can always cite their longest find streak, but no one's ever at least willing to admit they know what their longest drought has been.
My longest slump probably is longer than all of yours combined together. By the way, it's 407 days, and it's actually a 407-day slump and a 302-day slump or something similar to that, only broken up by one find in 2008. So,
wow. Okay.
So it would have been 2 years ish with no finds if I didn't find one cache. So,
wow. And I thought my
first
62 was bad.
My first retirement.
Your first retirement.
Yeah, Chris, it's like I was thinking the same thing. Like, what was I thinking back then? Like, could I have that mentality now where I could just take a day off, just relax, but having too much fun.
I've been playing around with waymarking lately during this pandemic, and I have a very impressive waymarking slump. It's 1,308 days.
Wow. I have no idea what my waymarking slump would be.
Oh gosh.
I'm not even going to go there. Moving on, though, there's also the memory lane promotion coming up, and that's got new dates of June 1st through January 3rd of 2021.
Correct. Yeah, that was another thing that really didn't feel right. I think the original start date was going to be April 6th. And of course, that was right in the thick of things. And we just felt like moving it out to June 1st and then giving people until the end of the year and actually to January 3rd of 2021. So they've got a lot more time to take part in that souvenir challenge and not feel pressure to, usually these things are time boxed. a lot more, usually a month or so. And we just felt like that would be putting undue pressure on people. And that's not what this is about. This is supposed to be fun and enjoyable for folks. And we want it to be inclusive. So hopefully the new dates will make that the case for people.
And the CETO season 1 has changed as well. Much longer season 1.
Yeah, that's right. It's now out to August 31st will be season 1. And then season 2 is still scheduled for September 1st through November 30th for season 2.
Yeah, and even with that longer window for season 1, I do kind of start to wonder now if we're going to be able to have any CETOs in Detroit area at least. But also the Adventure Labs and the Virtual Rewards 2 have new deadlines. So if you've been awarded one of those, those deadlines have been extended.
Right. Adventure Lab, you have until August 31st as of right now. And of course, we're going to keep an eye on things as we get closer to then. And if it looks like there are a lot of folks that still aren't able to use that Adventure Lab credit because of the restrictions in their areas, then we'll look at extending that again. Just like with the other stuff, we don't want people to lose out on this opportunity because of situations that is completely out of their hands.
Yeah, and my wife's been trying to do the research for virtual, or not for the virtual, for the Adventure Lab, sorry. And she can't even do that because, we're not supposed to really be out and walking around like that. So it does make it challenging. And I'm sure there's still plenty more news to come, not just with some of these deadlines, but, it's an ever evolving situation. So we'll have to keep an eye on the blog and, make sure you're subscribed to the newsletters, because that's the only way that they can send you that information. Am I right?
That is correct. And of course, we also use Facebook and Twitter. And then this updates page as well is a place where we will, if there's a big change in a promotion, or if any of these deadlines that we've talked about change in any way, we'll make sure that we update that updates page as well.
Well, that's a great page to go to just because everything is there. So you can always go back and realize, oh, wait, I didn't realize that changed. And now I don't have to worry about struggling and, throwing a slinger of a Adventure Lab out there. I can actually take my time and do it right.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that page is currently very easy to find on the logged in homepage. If you've logged into your account and just go to the homepage of geocaching.com, you'll find a link to it from that homepage.
And GSM times 2 is counting down already to memory lane. But he does say that he canceled CETO and the celebration event already. And if I remember correctly, if you canceled those events, they actually unpublished or whatever that's called, delisted.
Retracting.
So that you could,
retracting.
Yes, thank you. So that you could relist them. So you didn't lose it.
Exactly. Once it's retracted, then you have until December 31st of 2021 to host that event.
So that's good news for anyone who did have one that might still be in that window that they're getting terminated or retracted. And he's going to put you on the spot. GSM times 2 wants to know if there are any plans to award more Virtual Rewards 2.0.
As of this moment, there are no plans for that. But again, you never know. But the answer as of right now is there are no imminent plans for it.
And here I was going to say that's not your job. Well, or 2.1.
That's
2.1. Okay. Yeah.
With
the twos. It's now time for 2.1.
Yeah, and there's no 3.0 planned at this moment, or 2.5 or anything like that. I'm not trying to use semantics to wiggle out of the question.
All right. Well, we do want to talk about some of the mega events that have postponed, and it's a large number. There are still some trying to maintain their current schedule. But on a boat, you want to run through some of the ones that are changing?
Yeah, so I did my best to put together the ones that I was aware of, and I'm pretty well versed in a lot of what's going on in the U.S. Because I keep in touch with a lot of these guys and gals. So this isn't all inclusive, right? But just to kind of give you an idea of how much has changed. So the Jackson County Geo Trail Kickoff event was scheduled in down in Georgia. That was originally in April, and it actually moved to May, and then it moved all the way to September. MOGA 2020, that was originally April. It's now October. Mingo Madness was originally in May. That is now in September. Allegheny State Park Geobash 15 was originally in May. That one is actually postponed all the way to 2021, like some of the other ones we talked about earlier. Tri-Cities GeoCoin Challenge was originally scheduled for late June. That is also postponed to 2021. You mentioned the HQ celebration was postponed to 2021. The Going Ape mega event, the same weekend as the HQ celebration, that was also postponed until next year. Geo Woodstock was postponed until next year. Geo Coin Fest was postponed until next year. You get the theme here.
Yeah. Well, and my impression is most of the mega events are postponing till next year.
It seems that way. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just too much uncertainty that they can't, push till September or October, and then they'd have to probably push again.
Yeah.
So they're just pushing for a full year and hoping that works, which I think is a prudent decision.
Yeah. I don't know, man. we got stuck. We're stuck in the middle of everything where we were half in already and canceling. If we would have postponed till next year, we'd be boned worse than, you know what I mean? So being kind of stuck, we're kind of in that weird in between where we're going to see if we can do something. Like maybe we just tell everybody come together, have a little event, and we're kind of there, but go caching, stay away from everybody else kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, no, everyone's
don't hug
on
anybody.
The fairgrounds, but social distance.
Who knows what it's going to look like? Even if these events could happen, who knows what it would look like, and who knows what's going to be in September too. So I agree with you. For those that could move, it seems like, unfortunately, kind of the best thing to do right now.
Well, and whoever thought that social distancing would become a term that everyone knows?
Right. Exactly.
That's only for us like introverts.
Yeah.
Happy Hodag says that as of right now, West Bend is still this August as originally planned.
Yep. Yeah, there's as of right now, I believe there's one event happening in, was it Poland? We mentioned earlier. Poland is in June. That's the next mega that's coming up, I'm pretty sure. And then there's CMAS GeoFest is still on the schedule in Massachusetts, Midwest GeoBash in Ohio in July, West Bend. I think the Jersey one is still on. LNA County in Ontario is still on. So there's a few of them that are in the late summer that are kind of holding on. But it's like everything from the beginning of July forward is kind of, they're like, it's too soon. There's no way that we're going to be clear by then. So
bring your hazmat suits and hope to hit all of those events.
Cheap airfare.
And it's not just geocaching that's been affected by this. Chris, we have an article that GPS World shared about Garmin sharing their insights from the fitness trackers.
Yeah, this is interesting. They've released data that highlights activity trends throughout this COVID-19 pandemic. According to the company this week, President Donald Trump declared a national state of emergency and marked a major shift in human activity. And the Garmin data points to a massive decline in the overall number of steps taken during the second 2 weeks of March in the U.S. This trend's consistent with the company's goals, or the company global data trend in China, Italy, and other countries where the coronavirus pandemic struck first. So, yeah, it's everybody's staying home and nobody's moving as much. Right?
Well, the one that kind of surprised me the most was skiing and snowboarding.
Mm-hmm.
They said it's down 96%.
So
isn't March when people kind of stopped doing those activities anyway?
not necessarily. Here in the Northwest, you can get some beautiful days in March. February, typically, we have some nice, beautiful days. Up in the mountain, there's still a good snowpack. So you go up there with the sun shining, and you can still have good days. So, skiing down. This is what gets me. Skiing down 96%, not 100, 96.
Yeah.
So somebody's still out there skiing.
Right. Well, and I want to know what the normal fall off is about that time of year.
That's true. Well, now that I wonder if that could be cross country skiing, because I could see how you could social distance. You hit the trails and cross country ski.
Oh yeah. Even downhill skiing, you can probably successfully social distance.
A lot. I took my son to ski lessons a couple of years ago, and it seems like a lot of downhill skiing is spending time in the lodge. I know it shouldn't be, but I think that's where the majority of people are.
You're probably right. But virtual cycling was up 64%.
Mm-hmm. So,
but there was also a 20% decline in cycling.
So, Daryl, I know we've talked about it off air, but a lot of these virtual exercise companies, Peloton comes to mind, and there are others, are giving their products away for free.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you have an exercise bike and say an iPad or even a phone, you could get there. You can download these Peloton training videos. What are they? They're live events, are they not?
Yeah, it's live with trainers.
Yeah. And sit there on your, little, $10 thrift store bicycle and keep up with them. So, a lot of this is really interesting. Now, I choose Peloton because that's the only name I know. I know there are others, and I apologize, but
well, they've sued some of those others out of existence too.
Exactly. But they don't have. They have other videos that are not cycling dependent. So if you want to do yoga or calisthenics, they have those available as well.
Yeah, but the next one that got me as well. Indoor treadmill running is down 44%.
Down 44%.
I figure that's got to be the people going to the gym.
Oh yeah,
because you can't go to the gym.
Yeah, my dad does it every morning. He comes down to the basement, gets on the treadmill, and goes a couple of miles. And it's funny because he'll complain that his phone isn't recording all the steps he's taken. See, it's not keeping up.
Well, and it kind of on that same line, lap swimming is down 88%. So I think, again, we're seeing a lot of the people who can't go out to those facilities. Stuff like the stationary bikes, that's something that's pretty easy to put in the living room, even if you need to, in front of the television, and then you get to watch. But something like a treadmill probably is a little bit too intrusive for the living room.
We moved up our stationary bike right to our front window. So we'll get on there and pedal. And, at least we're looking out at something. We don't
no matter how you pedal, you still can't get out the window.
You still can't get out the window, but, it's sitting right there in the living room looking out the front window. And it's kind of fun. It gives you something to look at because I'll tell you, it doesn't say it, but, it does. Walking is up 36%. Now, in my neighborhood, I'm going to say it's like 136%. There are walkers outside my window nonstop. And, some of them come around the same time. Others, I see throughout the day. My office is upstairs, looking over the front of the house. So, I keep the window open for some ventilation and I'm looking at it. And, I see these people moving around all day long.
White Coaster says that his exercise room in the apartment building has been closed for the last 7 weeks or so, which makes sense. And maybe Chris number one can actually answer this one. Is couch caching up 84%?
It wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah, I mean, we don't keep statistics on it, but yeah, certainly there have been a few reports of that. I think 84% might be a little high, but there have been some reports that we've dealt with.
Judging from my Earth caches, I think that number might be a lot higher, though. We did get some feedback, though, from several of the listeners as to what's going on in their world. Just Finding Our Way says the pandemic has sufficiently reduced my cache finding, which I've limited to a few specific days. The flip side is, as a result, in perhaps too much time in the shops to create new caches. One has gone live. I'm waiting for answers back on the location responses for 2 and researching options for another 2. Almost as time consuming as almost as time consuming has been the time in Cache Torno reworking summer trips. The 38-day county chasing road trip to the Northwest has gone back into draft status. The Eastern Colorado camping trip has been canceled, and a 2-week 6-state back road county chasing route has been developed. Just waiting to see which states open up enough that I can leverage some or all of it.
Nice. Well, Just Finding Our Way, know that you can do all the counties in Washington State. Was it in 3 days? Somebody drove into Washington State, mapped a route to go through, and got to Seattle in 3 days. So you can hit all the counties. That's some driving, let me tell you.
Well, I am hearing a few people doing.
I see the gears turning. He goes, "Yeah, I think I can do that."
Well, I'm hearing this from a lot of people as they're trying to plan like road trips now that they've canceled their big travel plans for the year. So it's an interesting thing to try, is get those lots of time driving in the car things out of the way, especially because gas probably is going to be a little cheaper this year.
Exactly.
So excellent goals to have. You want to catch the next one from Merlin 1392?
Certainly. He sent us an email that says the pandemic has affected me in a number of ways. Early on, I saw it as a way to go out caching more. Although an essential employee there wasn't anything on our schedules. So it was more like a paid vacation time. A few friends and I would make plans for trips during the week. And we were all in the education industry in some way. So we would stay safe, but stay caching. Then as things progressed, my friends received orders from better halves. That ended. I still tried to go out solo as much as I could, but work also started in with the new projects that kept me working from home. My former hours typically let me go caching on Fridays afternoons, but even that ended. My caching became limited to once a week, and usually on Saturdays or Sundays. One day for me, one day for the family. I was still building lots of plans and solving lots of puzzles to keep me occupied on caching. Now, it seems that more people realize that shelter in place is getting old, and they want to get out. Safety really is a personal decision, and I was having no problem starting to cache again with friends as they wanted to. Events are a different story. While I miss them, there's no way to limit contact. The spheres of friends become bigger and less controlled. I'm okay with the decisions that have been made so far. Disappointed, absolutely, but understanding. The world has changed, and until we have a cure, a vaccine, or even a confirmed treatment regime, it'll be all up to all of us to practice new safety measures. I won't let fear rule my life, but I'll try not to put myself into a truly dangerous situation, pandemic or otherwise.
GSM times 2 says that we can blame the pandemic for the 5 mystery caches and 4 Where I Go caches that he's created.
Oh, good. I'm glad he's created some Where I Go. He was talking about that.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I'm anxious to see what those turned out to be. Sim Rebel said, well, this virus has messed up my plans for a West Coast trip, or at least delayed it. I was planning on the ASPGB, Mega in New York State this weekend. That has been canceled. I have 3 of my own events retracted. Our local group, HNAG, had a streak of at least 1 event a month for 64 months, but that has now ended. For April, my fine count was 1 letterbox and 5 lab caches. Some of the restrictions have been lifted here, so hoping to get out and do more caches.
You know, I would say your streak of 1 event a month for 64 months can still go on. I mean, it's not that you're missing the events. There's no events. So once events are allowed to happen again, I would say just keep going on with it. You just have to remember, you have to do a little math when you add your streak.
Well, isn't that hosting event a month? So yeah, that probably doesn't really work as well.
Okay. We got next from JR
Todd Hunt?
I think it's JRTOD Hunt. Now, I don't know. I'm trying to come out with a name for that one, but you'll have to write in and tell us how to properly pronounce your geocaching name, please. I've been trying to stay at home, so I have not been caching while New York is encouraging everyone to stay home. I was thinking of hosting a CETO for the first time, but before I planned it, new events were not happening. On the positive side, I've been enjoying more cache-related podcasts and YouTube content. Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you got to have something to fill the time.
Exactly.
And I am noticing what I perceive as an increase in how to make geocache videos popping up lately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've noticed I don't listen to podcasts like I used to. I used to listen to them on commutes, and I have no commute. I mean, my commute's walking across the hall. We joke, you know. I mean, I tell my wife last week I gave her the key to the executive washroom. You know, and you know, at 5 o'clock I walk out of the office, walk over to the bedroom, change. Whoa, man, traffic was bad. What a day at work. I don't even want to talk about it. And go downstairs and we'll have dinner. So it's been interesting. I tell you, I think we've reconfigured our office space once a week for the last 2 months. Well, let's do this. Will be a little more efficient, and then we'll do this. And so,
White Coaster wants to know if you actually wash your or you lock your washroom at home.
I cannot comment at this time.
Hey, you got to protect the toilet paper.
Exactly. Well, you know, you're going to get the riffraff going into the executive washroom if there isn't a lock on the door.
Yeah, you know, the work from home thing though probably has affected a lot of the cachers because now they can't do their lunch breaks and things like that. But at the same time, I wonder how many people are able to do more of the puzzle solutions and things like that while they're on their lunch break. Yep,
I think that's up dramatically. Now, I'm hearing anecdotally that the cache owners are getting more fines from newer cachers, people who maybe have started during this pandemic, where they're not getting cache fines typically from the seasoned cachers.
Yeah, I've heard the similar things, and there's been a bunch of articles running, especially in those states where they're encouraging people to get out and go hiking. It's a reason for people to do that. I figure GCHQ is probably getting a few more interview requests for things like that. Am I correct?
Yeah, we've certainly got some requests from various places, and we've seen an increase in articles and TV stories and stuff like that about geocaching in various spots. And we've seen an increase in signups as well. So, you know, hopefully the folks that are discovering the game will take the time to learn about it, and we'll stick with it, you know, once we get through this whole thing.
Hopefully, but it's good to at least see that they're getting out and trying it.
Absolutely. You know, it's been fun to see these articles where we're seeing. I just read one the other day where it was mostly focused on I think it was a Department of Natural Resources employee in some state, and just talking about him personally, what a great activity it had been for him and his family. And there was a great quote in there where he said, geocaching lets me be like a kid with my kids, which was fantastic to see something like that.
That might be my new favorite geocaching quote.
I loved it when I saw it. I was just so great to see someone so excited about it and kind of feeling the way we've all felt about the game during our experience with it.
Well, the one thing that I really kind of feel sorry for the people trying to get in right now is they're not going to get quite the same mentoring that a lot of us did. So hopefully, if you do run into one of these new cachers finding your caches, you can kind of reach out to them and, you know, congratulate them on finding this sport and reach out and see if they can, or if they have any questions that you can answer.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Not being able to have the events available is you know, a tough thing at this point, especially for those new folks that are just discovering the game. And it has been great to see. I'm involved in a lot of, you know, local, regional, statewide Facebook groups, and it's been fun to see people coming in and saying, "Hey, I just found my first cache," and in that, invariably, you see a great response from the current members saying, well, you know, welcoming them and asking if they have any questions. So that's helping to fill that void just a little bit.
Excellent. Ooh, we are getting long. So let's finish up with a couple more. We've got Coon and Bud, who said, I have not found a single cache since March 14th of 2020. That cache was a bonus to an adventure lab. I have done some cache maintenance and replaced one geocache. Also have discovered a few trackables from friends on Instagram. Events, let's see. Canceled all of my will attends to Mingo Madness, the GPS Adventure, a local CETO, and the community celebration.
And Left Paw says, I started geocaching in 2010 and got out of it until this year. And for me, the pandemic got me back into caching. I got tired of sitting at home, so I reactivated my account and have gotten 50 caches in a month. That's not a staggering number, I know, but it's on a way. But it is a way to get out of the house and keep me from going stir crazy. I've gotten hooked again, and I hope to continue caching for years to come. Thank you for your show. I really enjoyed learning about GPS.
So here's someone else who's had success with geocaching to keep their sanity, I gather.
Yeah, I like that.
Definitely.
Welcome back to geocaching.
And congratulations on reopening the account and getting back out there. But you know what else we have to do, Chris, is pick one of these guys or gals to get one of those Geo Gearheads tags.
Ooh.
So I'm just going to do some random scrolling here and went too far. Okay, let's try it again. And we're going to give it to Left Paw this time, actually. So congratulations. Make sure to email us your address and I'll get that out in the mail to you.
Well, congratulations, Left Paw. And On a Boat and Rock Chalk, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is an unusual time, and we appreciate you guys taking the time to be on the show with us.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
Always a pleasure. And next week, we're going to be talking about earth caching with the land monkey.
Ooh.
So make sure to... make sure to tune in for that one. And if you do have any questions or comments that you'd like to talk about on that show, GeoGearheads at CacheManiacs.com. Again, that's GeoGearheads at CacheManiacs.com. And
we expect emails from Rock Chalk about on unusual questions to Land Monkey. But until then, make sure you check out the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners. So leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniac shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniac shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Umpenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. The show's copyright 2020 by Daryl Wattenberg, all rights reserved.
Cash with a Cachemaniac.